Welcome to Bassmaster Radio, presented by Phoenix Boats, the show for fishermen by fishermen. Today's show is brought to you by Enigma Fishing. Cast, catch, repeat. Visit Anderson, South Carolina, home of beautiful Lake Hartwell. Phoenix Boats, experience the difference. And by the Bass Anglers Sportsman Society. Now, here's lifetime BASS member, Thom Abraham.
And welcome back, Phoenix Boats Bassmaster Radio. And how about a chance to talk to a Phoenix Pro right now? A guy that was so close, 3 points from being the Angler of the Year. I haven't talked to him since the end of the season. I don't know if it's all out of his head now or not, but he is David Mullins, and he joins us as he gets ready for the first event of the year that, of course, will take place at the St. Johns River coming up next weekend. David, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Oh, good, guys. Good. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I appreciate you joining us. As I said, 3 points from the Angler of the Year. I know you don't just look at the last event, right? I mean, you probably, through your mind over the last couple of months of a very short off season, probably think of different spots maybe where, if I did this differently or that differently, it could have made a difference?
I had it once. I had it once several times. If I land the one fish that you follow, I don't even have to show up for the last event. And if I land that one, I win it. And then I stuck 2 or 3 fish out of one fence row at Lake Fork, and if I land any of those, I win it. And the first fish I stuck the first morning was like a 2.5 pounder on a worm and a grass line. If I land that one, I win it. So it was just, it just wasn't meant to be. I've said that 1,000 times, and I haven't really kicked myself over it. Am I mad about it? Yeah, I'm mad about it. But, not much I could do. I had the bites, I had the opportunities. It just, it's fishing. It just didn't work out.
Yeah. So other than that, though, you haven't thought about it at all, right? You just gave it a rhyme and verse on every fish that could have got it for you.
Yeah, that's the only two that, or only 2 scenarios that I can think of that would have done it. And like I said, just one. It's funny, and me and David Walker's talked about it several times. It's funny how your year could come back to just one bite, making or breaking your year, whether it be winning the tournament or making the classic or anything. It can come down to one bite, and that was, it was definitely me this year or this past year.
You had a good classic last year. You finished in the top 15 at the classic. If I told you I'd give you that classic and you're not gonna win at AOY, or if I told you I'd give it at AOY, which of the two are more important to you? There's a lot of different views on this from different guys.
Oh, I'm not really sure. I'm not sure which one's better. I guess everybody's dreams to win a classic, but in a fishing standpoint, just being consistent over the year, is pretty strong in itself. So either one of those titles, I would love to win.
Yeah, well, I got a feeling that is in your future that you have that opportunity. Last year, as you said, consistency was key. You started 26th at Palatka. You had that one that got away at Eufaula. It landed you just below the cut line there, but you were very, very consistent the rest of the year for the most part. Which one would be the most disappointing to you? Is it the 35th at Gunnersville, or is it the Texas Fest? Which one would have been the most disappointing that you thought you could have done better? Because you really did well, at a number of places.
The most disappointing one was Lake Fork for me. To have that many bites and not capitalize on them. And it's not like I didn't see the fish or anything, but they just come and buttoned. And like I said, it's one of those things that it was a tough, those last 3 or 4 fisheries we fished were just, tough periods of the year. And every bite you had to capitalize on, because you didn't, it wasn't like you were going to go out there and catch 30 or 40 fish. You had to really, bear down and catch what you hooked. And that's probably the most disappointing one for me. And I look back at taking some chances at St. Lawrence, and I was catching, I can't remember, I was in maybe the top 20 there going into the third day, and I took chances on just catching a giant bag that third day, and went late, caught me like 10 pounds and dropped from like 20th to 50th or something. So that cost me 30 points. But, the most disappointing tournament for me was definitely Fork.
On the flip side, You finished fourth at Champlain. You finished 11th at St. Clair. You were 8th at South Carolina at Santee Cooper. What tournaments surprised you in terms of how well you did, where you said, well, it kind of didn't feel that good going into that one, and ended up, fishing on Championship Sunday?
Santee Cooper.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, in practice I didn't find much. I'd went one little area and I had a couple bites off some cypress trees, and I roomed with Drew Benton and Drew Cook, and they're both phenomenal fishermen. And Benton told me about an area that he got some bites out of, and I didn't go in that area, but I went kind of near it, probably half a mile from it, and I got some bites, maybe 4 or 5 bites in there off some cypress trees. So I rolled up there in the first day of the tournament, and I think the first cypress tree I came to, I caught 5 off of. And it, it just kind of like, all right, well, we're good now. So I got to fish for big ones the rest of the day and caught a couple big ones around noon. And, that set the tournament momentum, and it went well from there. But as far as practicing goes, it was a very tough practice there.
Yeah, David Mullins with us, finishing second by, I think, 3 points in the Angler of the Year rankings last year, but certainly made a lot of noise finishing it so high, and at so many times it looked like he was going to be the guy that would snare that thing. If I'd have told you, I mean, you're a Tennessee guy, Mark Carmel, Tennessee, barely into Tennessee, but you're up there in a beautiful part of the state. And but if I'd have told you you're going to fish a tournament at Chickamauga, you'd have 27 pounds and you'd finish in the top 20, you'd had to look at me sideways. You'd think I was nuts. That was for those of us that live in that region of the country, that was one of the most amazing tournaments I think I've ever seen. Just shows how tough the Tennessee River can get that time of year.
Yeah, it wasn't any surprise to me. I mean, I knew it was going to be tough going in there. And you go to any of our lakes in the fall, I don't even know if that's considered fall anymore. Like late summer, they're just they're brutal. Those deep schools have broke up. Fish are relating to shallow stuff and usually grass. And there about to be a couple schools left here and there. They're just beat up. And it's and again, it goes back to every bite you can get. It's really, you have to capitalize on it. And luckily those, a lot of the tournaments this year, I got to catch them winding stuff in, and I really excel when it comes to throwing, chatterbaits or crankbaits and stuff like that. And a lot of the tournaments this year, I got to do that in, and that's probably, a lot of my success was because of that.
You also had a good run at Palatka last year at the St. Johns River in a tournament that was just unlike really anything else we've seen at the St. Johns in terms of the lack of grass and all of that water getting blown out with the low tide and everything else. But you finished 26, so you had figured something out there. Obviously, you get to start practicing here over the weekend, and then you get ready to go for the first event of the year. What are your expectations for it now? It's a different fishery, really, than it had been in years past, especially with there not being as much grass around.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be tough, just like it was last year. That place is with them spraying and killing the grass, and that being on top of the high tides. It's just going to be I think it'll be a tough tournament again. That time of year, you just never know what to get in Florida, and that February, you don't know if it's going to be frigid or warm, and I think it'll be another tough one. And if I'm expecting it to be another tough event.
And then, though, after that, are you peeking ahead at all to Knoxville as you'll fish from the head ends of the Tennessee River, go back to Knoxville where the Classic was a few years ago, and that's not too far from the house for you. Are you looking at that a little bit?
Am I looking forward to Knoxville? Not really. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, the only good thing about that one is it's kind of close to home, but I never do fish. I never do fish Fort Loudon. It's just, back in the 90s and early 2000s, it was just full of fish and full of big ones, and it doesn't seem like it produces them anymore like it used to. And if you can catch, 15, 18 pounds now, it seems like you're pretty good. But I'm glad to be fishing at home. Glad to be fishing in Knoxville. That's about the only thing I'm looking forward to there.
Yeah. And finally, before I let you go, I talked to Gary Klaus last week on the show, and we talked about how many guys were running Phoenix, and he wasn't even sure how many. And I think I've counted 23 or 24. It's really amazing how many guys have jumped into the Phoenix, and I think you're running the 721. Just talk a little bit about your rig and about how it's worked out for you having that Phoenix.
Well, it's been great getting back to Phoenix, and it's like being in a small family again. It's just everything's handmade there, and it's just it's a great community. And where I came from, everything just kind of went to like big corporate deal. Not everything's put into every boat, and that's just the way Phoenix I think is making them right now, and they're a great company to work with. And I'm running the 721, and I like 721 because it's probably the fastest one they got, and I love a little bit of speed, but not only that, but they ride really good too. So it was good to come out with a new boat and a fresh start last year, and have a good year doing it, and hopefully we can keep it rolling. But I'm thankful for Gary and Teresa to bring me on like they did, and that they didn't have to, but they did, and I've been grateful for it ever since.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm sure the run that you had last year, too, finishing second in the AOY. David Mullins has been our guest. David, we wish you the best of luck this season. Remember, winners come on the show in the Rapala Winner's Circle, so hopefully we'll be talking to you again down the road.
That would be awesome. Look forward to seeing you.
All right, thank you. David Mullins joining us there, doing a tremendous job.